Hi, my name is Emily Bozeman. Um, this is my presentation on Edward Thorndike, or some would have called him the founder of educational psychology. Early life. Edward Thorndike's life was surrounded and immersed with family, as well as the thought that he needed to be on point or emotionally regulated for his clergyman father. He was born in on August 31st, 1874 in Williamsburg, Massachusetts. He was the second son and the second child of Edward Roberts and Abigail Thorndike. Like I said, his father was a Methodist clergy, and as such, his children were expected to excel in their studies and their behaviors. All three brothers were professors at Columbia, while the sister was an English teacher. All succeeded in their personal careers. Edward Thorndike was known to be shy and timid since his family moved around quite a bit when he was young. This led him to be somewhat reclusive and research focused. He attended Wesleyan University in Connecticut, and in one of his writings, he states that he had never heard of the word psychology until his junior year of undergrad, and then he became fascinated with the concept and was offered a position to study under William James at Harvard. Believed that competing with his peers was distasteful and a waste of time and energy that could be geared towards research. He also believed that learning for him was a private matter and detested the thought of faculty meetings and conferences. He likened learning to a growth under the skin, so that you would, as you learn, it became a part of you. He then graduated from Wesleyan College in the classical courses that they had offered. So, more on the early years. After graduating from Wesleyan College, he was offered a position to study at Harvard. After graduating with his master's, he decided to attend Columbia University, where he attained his PhD, then became a professor focused on animalistic behaviors. Later, he married Elizabeth Moulton, and they had 5 children together. Though only 4 survived to adulthood, they had successful careers in the sciences, including physics, mathematics, and educational psychology. Edward Thorndike lived a life of academia. Undergraduate from Wesleyan College, he then graduated school at Harvard and finished up his PhD at Columbia University. Began a professional career at Women's College of Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio for 1 year. Then he accepted an invitation from James Cattell um, to return to the Teachers College at Columbia University, where he spent the rest of his academic career. He then worked with William James, philosopher and psychologist, when he was at Harvard, who is also known as the father of American psychology. And then later, when he returned to Columbia, he worked with James Cattell. He made major advances in the mental testing area of psychology and led multiple scientific magazines, including Science, which he bought from Alexander Graham Bell. His success in the field of psychology was great, and there are several achievements, theories, and laws and books that are tied to him. First, his achievements were that he pioneered the use of animals in psychology. He was elected president of the American Psychological Association, one of the first psychologists to be admitted into the National Academy of Science, elected president of the American Association for Advancement of Science, and he wrote roughly 450 works academically for the betterment of educational psychology. He is known for um, some of his theories and laws are the law of effect, the law of exercise, the law of readiness, and connectionism. And then some of his most famous books and other works were The Teacher's Word Book, where it discussed over 30,000 different words that and what frequencies that they're used at. He also wrote The Mental and Social Measurement of Intelligence, and The Fundamentals of Learning. Connectionism. This was Thorndike's core theory of learning. He believed that all learning was a bond between stimulus and response when being taught anything. So, what is the difference in this and classical conditioning? Thorndike says that the difference is the voluntary versus involuntary. SR bonds are stronger when they are willingly learned. The more those bonds are strengthened, the better we learn the presented information. Thorndike's law of effect. He believed that behaviors followed by positive outcomes are more likely to be repeated, just as behaviors followed by negative outcomes are less likely to be repeated. He tested these theories on animals by using a puzzle box that had separate consequences for each action taken by the animal. He observed that the animals started to only repeat the actions that led to positive outcomes and stopping the actions that led to negative outcomes. The law of exercise. The idea that practice makes perfect. The better Sally's handwriting, the more praise she receives from her teacher. When the stimuli and response go well, then the chosen repeated behavior will more than likely occur. This goes the same way. What is the law of readiness? The law of readiness states that if a person is not mentally prepared, then they will not excel at the skill that they are attempting to learn. For example, if Sally is wanting to learn how to jump rope at recess but has already given up on herself, then she will not learn to jump rope. This goes the same with writing her letters, with counting her numbers, anything in that area where she decides, I can't do this. She has to be ready to learn and willing to learn to be able to grasp those concepts. Lastly, he worked with the law of exercise. The key takeaway from the law of exercise is that practice makes perfect. That's something that we still talk about today. That's why repetition is highly taught in all areas of the educational learning system. When learning, if the subject is not repeated enough, then it will not take in the student's mind. Thorndike and his influence on B.F. Skinner. Thorndike, as stated, was a pioneer in animal research. His theories played a large role in helping Skinner develop his theory on operant conditioning, and they both co authored multiple papers on the topic. Late life until death. Later in life, Thorndike helped develop an alpha and beta test that measured the intelligence of incoming soldiers going to war, an early form of the ASVAB. After retiring, Columbia University bestowed upon him the Butler Medal in recognition of his exceptionally significant contributions to the general problem of the measurement of human faculty and to the applications of such measurements to education. He retired in 1939 and later died of a cerebral brain hemorrhage shortly before his 75th birthday. Connectionism in modern learning and how we use it. SR bonds, in my opinion, are the backbone to what is now modern teaching techniques. Repeatedly, Thorndike's theories have been proven as a key way to help children learn all kinds of information and automaticity. His three laws of learning, effect, readiness, and exercise all have large impacts of teaching in the 21st century as well. Practice makes perfect. Lastly, I leave you with one more example of how does this apply to modern teaching. Sally is a student in Mr. Tom's class. He notices that she struggles with speaking out in class. Mr. Tom gets to know Sally and what might work for her and other students. He starts giving small treats when students answer his pop questions right. Sally begins to raise her hand more and engage in class. Sally learns to raise her hand and to engage in a direct effect is a direct effect of the law of effect. So where it used to be practice, 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 it is now practice, reward, practice, reward, practice, reward makes perfect.